Good morning, I'm Serena Ansari. Our top story, Republican presidential hopefuls locked horns in a high-tension debate in Boulder, Colorado last night. And as eventful as the debate was, it's the aftermath this morning that's drawing everyone's attention. Our reporter Jay O'Brien is at the University of Colorado Boulder with more. Jay, how did last night go for the candidates?
Well, Serena, I'm here at the University of Colorado Boulder. Like you said, it's a venue that usually holds around 11,000 people. Last night, it held 1,000, and it was promised to be a made-for-TV kind of audience. And for those at home, it didn't disappoint. Ben Carson coming into this debate with a 26-point lead in the polls, Donald Trump with 22. Ben Carson had to show that he had the chops to keep up with the Republican candidates running all around him, trying to egg him into a fight, and he held his ground while some fiery exchanges were going on around him. First off, Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio locking heads over Rubio's performance in the Senate, specifically his voting record and his attendance. Then Carly Fiorina coming in strong. This was a debate on the economy, and she's obviously the former CEO of Hewlett Packard. She came in touting her economic expertise, her business acumen, and it worked out well for her this morning in the polls. Then John Kasich defending his record as a managing partner at Lehman Brothers during the financial collapse. No one else besides Donald Trump decided to bring that up, putting Kasich on the defensive, and as you can see, he was a little flustered when he was asking those questions. And then Marco Rubio coming out very, very strong. He was poised. He was measured in his responses. He let Jeb Bush know exactly where he stood. He even said to him, Jeb, I'm not sure why you're telling me this, if I could paraphrase, but what happens is that Rubio egged Jeb on. He said, Jeb, you're saying this because someone is telling you that this will knock me down, that this was something that you can do to get ahead of me in the polls, and he received thunderous applause from that. But at the end of the day, the real loser here that everyone's saying is CNBC. What happened with them is that they tried to goat the candidates. They tried to egg them on, asking them questions that were a little embarrassing. They asked Donald Trump, for example, if he's a cartoon comic book version of a candidate. And then this morning, the reactions poured in. Reince Priebus, the RNC chairman, saying that that was a shameful performance on CNBC's side. CNBC's Vice President Brian Steele coming back and saying that presidential candidates, or people that want to be president for that matter, should be able to answer tough questions. Serena?
And Jay, after all this drama, what's the next debate going to look like?
Well, we're not sure what the next debate's going to look like. What I can tell you is that people met in a back room this evening, representatives from multiple campaigns trying to figure out a new debate format. There's talk of possibly boycotting a debate if they don't get the format they want. Also, the RNC backed out of their next debate with NBC that would be hosted on NBC and Telemundo. No word yet if they're going to get that back. From live at the University of Colorado Boulder Coors Center, I'm Jay O'Brien.
Thank you, Jay. Coming up after the break, we'll have a look at weather with our meteorologist, Wayne Wilkins. Stay with us. Good morning, I'm Serena Ansari. Our top story, Republican presidential hopefuls locked horns in a high-tension debate in Boulder, Colorado last night. And as eventful as the debate was, it's the aftermath this morning that's drawing everyone's attention. Our reporter Jay O'Brien is at the University of Colorado with more. Jay, how did last night go for the candidates?
Well, thanks, Serena. I'm here outside the Coors Center at the University of Colorado Boulder. It's a venue that holds around 11,000 people. Last night, it was restricted to 1,000. They told us it was going to be a made-for-TV kind of audience, and they didn't disappoint. Ben Carson came into this debate with 26% in the polls, Donald Trump following him with 22%. It was Carson's job to maintain his lead, and Trump was on the attack, and he wasn't the only one. Some fiery exchanges between the candidates took place. Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio leading it off. Jeb criticizing Marco Rubio for his spotty record in the Senate. Marco coming back and saying that Jeb was just doing it to score some political points. Then Carly Fiorina coming into the pack. She praised herself, actually, as the controversial head of Hewlett Packard. She praised her business acumen and her ability to handle the economy. This debate was centered on the economy, and then including the economy, Donald Trump, pardon me, came out attacking John Kasich for his performance as a managing director at Lehman Brothers during the economic collapse in 2008. And then emerging from this whole pack of dogfights was Marco Rubio. He came in holding strong. Critics say he was measured. A lot of pundits saying he won the debate with his solid debate performance. And he was able to be positive through this entire barrage. And what I mean by barrage is that critics are saying that CNBC is to blame for some of the drama that happened during this debate. They said the questions were negative and they were meant to draw the candidates into a dogfight. Ted Cruz even came out saying that they were trying to pit the candidates together against one another in a cage match. Then the next morning, RNC Chairman Reince Priebus came out, saying that the debate performance on the moderators' end was shameful. CNBC VP Brian Steele came back at him saying that people who want to be president of the United States should be able to answer tough questions. Serena?
And Jay, after all those drama, what's the next debate going to look like?
Well, Serena, we're not really sure exactly what the next debate is going to look like. What we do know is that representatives from multiple campaigns met in a back room in Washington, D.C. just last night to discuss a new debate format. And get this, they're saying that their candidates may boycott debates if they don't get the format they want. We also know that the RNC, under the direction of their chairman, Reince Priebus, has canceled their debate with NBC coming next month. We don't know if that debate's going to happen, but what we do know is that they're going to be shaking things up in the future. From the University of Colorado at Boulder, I'm Jay O'Brien.
Thank you, Jay. Coming up after the break, we'll have a look at weather with our meteorologist, Wayne Wilkins. Stay with us. Good morning, I'm Serena Ansari. Our top story, Republican presidential hopefuls locked horns in a high-tension debate in Boulder, Colorado last night. And as eventful as the debate was, it's the aftermath this morning that's drawing everyone's attention. Our reporter Jay O'Brien is at the University of Colorado, Boulder with more. Jay, how did last night go for the candidates?
Thank you, Serena. It was a night full of its ups and downs here at the Core Center at the University of Colorado, Boulder. They told the crowd it was going to be one of those made-for-TV kind of nights, and they didn't disappoint. Ben Carson trying to maintain his 26% lead as he came in here tonight. Donald Trump trying to get back on top, but Ben Carson didn't take the bait, but Donald Trump did with some fiery exchanges directed at his fellow candidates, but his other candidates, the other contenders, participated in it as well. Bush and Rubio, Marco Rubio, exchanging very fiery comments back and forth about Rubio's voting record in the Senate. Then Carly Fiorina coming in strong about her performance at Hewlett-Packard as the CEO. That was a very controversial performance on her end. Their stock prices didn't do well under her leadership. Then Donald Trump firing at John Kasich, one of the more moderate people on the dais, saying that he and his fellow partners at Lehman Brothers, which was a Wall Street firm that collapsed, were partly responsible for the financial crisis. But through it all, Marco Rubio came out very, very strong. People saying he was measured in his responses to Bush, did not take the bait to contend with his fellow Republicans with negative comments. Instead, he stayed hopeful and optimistic. Some pundits even saying that he's the Republican version of President Barack Obama. But then, towards the end, CNBC taking a lot of fire from critics this morning, saying that a lot of their questions were negative, meant to draw the candidates into a dogfight with one another. RNC Chairman Reince Priebus coming out and saying that the CNBC's performance was shameful. CNBC shot back saying that people who want to be president of the United States, Serena, should be willing to answer some hard questions.
And Jay, after all this drama, what's the next debate going to look like?
Well, Serena, we're not really sure what the next debate is going to look like. What I can tell you is that in back rooms in Washington, D.C. just last night, people from every campaign met to develop a new debate format. We're not sure if it's going to be used, but what we do know is that candidates may boycott debates in the future if this format isn't followed. So, Serena, we're not particularly sure what's going to happen next, but it will be eventful. From the University of Colorado, Boulder, I'm Jay O'Brien.
Thank you, Jay. Coming up after the break, we'll have a look at weather with our meteorologist, Wayne Wilkins. Stay with us.